oversight on my part.
Good morning or good afternoon. You can give it another minute or so while people continue to join. Welcome. I don't know that we're going to have a big audience today. We'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to a special edition of the Power Platform Master Series. This week has been pretty exciting with Microsoft Build going on out in Redmond. And a lot of great announcements that have been made. It's wrapping up today on the third day, and we're hoping to recap a lot of what we saw the previous 2 days, specifically around the Power Platform. Just letting you guys know the session is being recorded, and I will summarize everything and put together some of the slides for us and distribute that likely tomorrow for everyone to recap and review and distribute. Again, we've got a fairly small crowd, so feel free to come off of mute and ask questions along the way. We'll do our best to answer them. A lot of the stuff that we've got going on is hot off the presses, so we'll do our best to address any questions that you guys might have. Just some housekeeping items to address exactly what the Power Platform Master Series is. Again, this is an educational series that is dedicated to discuss everything surrounding the Power Platform and Copilot Studio. It's designed for Power Platform enthusiasts, any sort of app makers or citizen developers, and administrators, and even newbies that might be dipping their toe into the platform. We try to do this once a month, and often we'll end up in situations where content is hot, just like we've got right now, and we want to get it to you as quickly as possible. So sometimes we end up with 2 sessions, but again, the commitment is trying to get one out every month. And we typically do these as Teams webinars, as we're doing today. We have had the pleasure of setting one of them up at the MTC in Houston and presenting live both in person and online. We hope to be able to do that again in the future. And this is again to both educate you and for us to learn as well a little bit about what you're after as far as the Power Platform is concerned and how you might be using it today. So I realize that most of us are here because we were either unable to attend Build in person this week, or we're only able to catch a few of the content or breakout sessions online. But by a show of hands, was anyone able to catch either keynote or attend any of the virtual breakout sessions? I know a lot of us here at Microsoft have been busy trying to catch up on a lot of the announcements. I wish I could tell you the people in this image attended the conference, but this entire image is actually AI generated. So again, as I mentioned, Build is wrapping up today, but to see how things fared out for the first couple days, we had 4,000 attendees in Seattle, 200,000 virtual attendees that tuned in at any given time. 2 very awesome keynotes, one on Tuesday and the other one being yesterday. If you were able to catch those or unable to catch those rather, we can drop some links for you. I know they're already circulating online. And then 42 low code sessions throughout the entire first 2 days. So it was a great turnout. We had a lot of fun. We've learned a lot, and there's a lot of exciting announcements to go over with you guys today. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So Copilot Studio is the first thing, and probably one of the highlights, if not the biggest highlight of the conference. I want to start off with a very brief video that was shared this week at Build that will show off some of the things that we're going to discuss, and then we'll take a closer look at each of them.
Redefine business processes with Copilot Studio. Create copilots that act as agents, working independently for you. Simply describe what you want your copilot to do. Easily configure your copilot with the details it needs, like instructions, triggers, knowledge, and actions. Quickly test your copilot before you deploy, and seamlessly publish across multiple channels. Watch it use memory for context, reason over user input, and manage long-running tasks. Copilot can learn from feedback to improve. And you're always in control. Put Copilot to work for you with Copilot Studio.
All right. So Copilot agents, I think, is the first big thing to mention. Copilot agents and Copilot Studio are now in an early access program. Using Copilot Studio, new capabilities in Copilot will act as agents that can independently orchestrate tasks tailored to very specific roles and functions. This will allow users to delegate authority to Copilot so they can automate long-running business processes, reason over actions and user inputs, leverage memory and knowledge for context, learn based on user feedback and exception requests, and ask for help when it encounters situations that it doesn't know how to handle inherently. You can build a Copilot with agent capabilities using a template or a natural language description, and leveraging Power Automate actions, flows, connectors, and triggers. The Copilot itself will independently orchestrate using cognitive planning and reasoning capabilities as well. You can choose from several templates that are out there for common business process scenarios, including IT help desk, project management, employee onboarding, and a lot of others like that. Once you've got it built, you can immediately test your Copilot. The rapid creation and testing process reduces the time and technical expertise that is necessary, which enables the creators to focus on optimizing the Copilot's functionality and user experience. You can also collect memories, like information or entities from end user interactions to provide context across scenarios for much richer interactions. And then you can publish a Copilot across several different channels, including Copilot for M365, Outlook, and even in Teams. Each Copilot records a comprehensive history of activities, including interactions, actions that they take, and feedback that they receive. This means that creators can identify learning opportunities and fine-tune behavior to improve end user experiences and business outcomes. Copilot connectors is now in preview. Copilot connectors will give users and admins and makers alike the ability to ground their content in real-time actions and workflows. This will also provide intelligent Q&A over productivity and operational and analytical data. It will bring together the Microsoft Graph and Power Platform connectors, AI skills in Microsoft Fabric, which is still in private preview, and Microsoft Dataverse together to make the process of grounding Copilots in first and third-party line of business data as a wizard-based experience that's configured through Copilot Studio. This enables developers to very quickly incorporate the organizational knowledge into Copilots that enable new actions and add real-time intelligence with Q&A over productivity, again, operational and analytical data. a nice slide here on knowledge through the Copilot connectors. Again, as I mentioned, the knowledge can be added to standalone Copilots. Copilot extensions. So Copilot extensions will be built in a Copilot Studio, and that allows developers to customize Copilots with instructions, knowledge from data source, and actions from plugins, Power Automate flows, and a lot more. They will be very simple to build and will enable customizability and extensibility for specific domains or personas, such as expense reporting, employee onboarding, which really enables a more relevant, personalized Copilot experience for your users. So what else is coming to Copilot Studio? A couple of other things. There's been some UX refresh where you can now access more of the new fluent and modern UX with updated navigational structure that makes it much easier to create and improve your Copilots. You can also build Copilots by engaging in a conversational, natural, human-like experience. So you can tailor your Copilots for specific tasks or topics by combining instructions, knowledge, and various capabilities. The templates, all users, it allows the users to use a diverse set of pre-built scenarios across industries and different types of functions that really allow them to cater to very popular scenarios. There is Copilot Studio Analytics, which provides makers with metrics and insights on their users' engagement and satisfaction with the Copilots they have built with Copilot Studio. And soon you're going to be able to invite Copilots to a meeting, and they will be able to understand what is being said or shared on the screen and react to it just like any other participant would. And then finally, image input. Image input will be supported, and that allows the users to input images into the chat so they can be analyzed and actually used as part of the conversation. Okay, so Power Automate announcements. I'll pause real quick. Any questions on any of the stuff regarding Copilot Studio? Okay. And feel free to put anything in the chat. Yes, Seth.
Is there a plan to expand the APIs of Copilot Studio to be able to access some of those functionality external to the studio?
What do you have in mind?
Meaning like you can call those functions from an automation or from a website, or trying to rethink my question now.
So you can access the Copilot from a multitude of channels, and then within the Copilot, have it call on different automations that can be built inside of Power Automate. I don't know if that necessarily answers your question or if you've got a specific use case.
Kind of does. I think I was thinking of something different. What I was wondering, if the Copilot Studio Copilot you can create, you know how the like Power Automate, Power Apps, they all have a little Copilot where it will help you build your automation. What I was trying to get my brain to speak out loud was, if that can be tied, like you can build your own Copilot outside of those features that will help you generate an app, say, outside of going to the portal. That was more what I was trying to get to. Sorry.
Yeah, no, if I'm understanding correctly, I mean, you'll have to, I mean, you're going to have to build your copilots using the Copilot Studio. There's not a way to build it outside of the studio.
Hey Jeff, I can take this. What's up, Seth?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that hasn't changed too much. Coincidentally, Seth, I don't know if you saw the announcements yesterday about our new automation capability called AI flows, which are it's not that, but it is very similar in the design, in the sense that instead of creating a Power Automate Cloud flow, and maybe I'm getting ahead of the story, you're, the specific actions in a specific order, you're basically describing an automation and it figures out the actions live. So anyway, just
Yeah.
that it's
I think I'd heard
different.
a little bits and pieces of that. So I'll talk to you later on that, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sounds good.
Good deal. Good stuff. Any other questions?
And Jeff, I pasted 2 screenshots I captured that were relative to Copilot Studio and Copilot capability that was announced.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Daniel. Okay. On to some of the Power Automate announcements. So I think probably one of the more exciting ones is going to be AI flows. You read that right, AI flows. So until this week, process automation required users to map out the entire sequence of triggers, actions, and conditions needed to achieve a process objective. Tuesday, we announced our early access program for AI flows, a completely new way to automate by letting generative AI reason over unstructured content and determine what steps and sequences are needed to achieve a process outcome based on instructions and parameters that have been provided by a user in a natural language. And then users describe what they want to accomplish along with any parameters for the flow. And every time the flow runs, AI determines what sequence of steps and actions are required at each step to accomplish the specified goal. So there are 2 new generative AI features that will be added to desktop flows in Power Automate. The first one is the new AI recorder, which will create a more natural multimodal experience where users create flows by both showing and telling the recorder how to automate a task. Until now, desktop recorders only were capable of tracking mouse clicks and keyboard entries. And users will be able to provide additional context of the recording by coaching it with their voice and sharing their screen, just like how a person would be trained to accomplish a task when they start a new job. So for users that want to build rules-based desktop flows that can be much more quicker to build and a lot easier to build, natural language to flow capabilities will be available to desktop flows as well. Users can describe the steps of the process that they want to automate, and then they let AI build it. And then you can edit the flow as necessary before they publish it. So I'm going to kick off another video to kind of highlight AI flows in action.
Walk me through your processes using your voice and screen, and I'll help you automate this.
First, I go to Outlook and find emails with invoice attachments. For each invoice, I grab the vendor name, vendor email, due date, and the amount, and copy it into the invoicing app.
Awesome. All right. So Automation Center. Automation Center is also a new feature. I've got a QR code there, by the way, that you're welcome to scan that will take you to the latest article on Learn.Microsoft related to Automation Center that was published this week. It is in preview today and will provide in-depth monitoring and troubleshooting capabilities across Power Automate with work queue SLA tracking, as well as advanced troubleshooting features that are accessible to anyone from citizen makers to the chief automation officer and COE team members as well. The Automation Center will deliver targeted recommendations with actionable insights to improve the performance and reliability of your automations. You can use Copilot in Power Automate to ask questions regarding the health of your automations, work queues, and to explain features of Power Automate itself. There's a new recommendation area that provides users with actionable insights and best practice recommendations. And there's also a dedicated work queue monitoring area that allows users to closely track SLA attainment, average processing time, and work queue throughput. Conversational cloud flows. So conversational cloud flows expands upon last year's natural language to flow capabilities, creating a more dynamic conversational experience that engages users in the ideation process. You start by stating a business scenario, your business role and responsibility, or pain points that you encounter in your work process. And then Copilot and Power Automate asks a few probing questions to help you form a clear automation plan that ultimately helps you create, refine, edit, and adjust through an ongoing conversation. It also helps you fix errors to get your automation up and running very, very quickly. Personal automation recommendation from Microsoft Graph will be there to optimize personal processes based on patterns in the work. So for users getting started on their automation journey, discovering where to start and understanding the art of the possible for automation is often very daunting. And so with personal automation recommendations mined from the graph, this bridges the gap by recommending opportunities for personal process optimization based on the role and activity in Microsoft 365 products like Teams and Outlook. And then by learning from the products they work in every day, process mining in Power Automate recommends opportunities for optimization, refreshing reports, keeping project groups up to date, or even managing SharePoint folders. So when you see a recommendation you like, you can use Copilot and Power Automate to turn these recommendations into an automation very quickly and easily. So just a quick slide, and I'll leave this as a bit of a leave behind. This is a good way to understand, or a good slide that lets you understand when to use AI flows versus conversational Copilot. All right, without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to David to let us know a little bit more about the Power Automate or Power Apps announcements.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff, for the great overview of Copilot Studio and Power Automate announcements. So I think probably the first place I want to start with when it comes to some of the announcements for Power Apps at Build 2024 is, well, we'll just take a look and see if you can spot it. So let's launch this. And some of you might be noticing already, it's a little bit on fast forward, but for those of us who have been asking for and waiting for this feature for a mighty long time, I'll skip ahead. Co-authoring and Canvas apps got announced. So now we can have, I believe, up to 10 different makers editing a Canvas app in the Power Apps Studio. I think this has been a feature that's been requested for like at least the past 5 years. It's previously been live for model-driven apps in that apps designer, and now this is GA, and that's great. Actually, I think this one's preview. I did want to remind us all really quickly. So a lot of the products in the Power Platform have copilots to help you build your flows, your copilots, build your Power Apps, right? So you can build your own custom copilot, and then we also provide copilots to help you, the developers, build more quickly. And so, yes, there's a copilot in Power Apps, just a reminder, and that is GA already. And bonus, it does not require premium licensing. It frequently leverages Dataverse capabilities, but unlocking the feature and making use of it is not does not require premium licensing. All right, so on to some of the other Power Apps build announcements. So in terms of enhancements to our Copilot for Power Apps development, we have upgraded its capabilities and included the capability now for it to understand Power FX. So this works two different ways. So in this screenshot, you'll see up in the top in the Power FX editor, you can write in some comments and it will suggest a Power FX expression that you can accept if you like it, just to facilitate writing Power FX. And obviously Copilot is going to get the syntax right every time. So I'm very much looking forward to taking advantage of this. And then also understanding Power FX that's maybe already been written. So this is also great from a learning standpoint, because maybe someone else developed an app and now you're in charge of maintaining it or adding new features and capability. And Copilot can help you understand what the Power FX expressions are doing, and speed up that process. So that's a super awesome capability of Copilot in the Canvas App Studio experience. Copilot can also create rich data models. So you may recall that our Power Apps Copilot could create a Dataverse table based on the description of an app that you wanted to build, and then could start rendering the app itself and give you a 3-screen, CRUD app that was responsive between web and mobile. Well, we've upgraded it now, so it now can do multiple data tables and handle and help build out the relationships between those tables. So that's what is kind of meant here by rich data models. So that's going to be super powerful, because most applications have some sort of relationship between the tables. We also have, as you're embedding copilots to help end users understand what's going on at the data layer, and to just provide that extra layer of functionality within a deployed Power App. That capability is now going to be supported for mobile Power Apps. So that's super exciting too. And then also voice input. So as you're embedding that Copilot within a Power App, and particularly, I think, again, relevant for deployments to mobile devices, end users will be able to tap a little microphone icon, speak to the Copilot. That's going to be transcribed to text, handed off to the Copilot. The Copilot will respond audibly, and also in text on the screen. So the voice input is going to be super helpful for field workers who may not it's just quicker to use voice, or their hands might be occupied with other things. And then just to round out some of the other enhancements that we've added to Power Apps that are outside the realm of Copilot. We have native Git integration. So this is kind of both of these announcements are facilitating our no cliffs development story for Power Apps, where whether you are just leveraging the low code capabilities within Power Apps or extending by using custom code, you can there's no drop off. It's you can move from one to the other and back again. That story is even more robust today. So developers will be able to synchronize their Power Apps environments and Git repositories. And so by connecting the two, development teams will be able to track those changes that are happening in the Power Apps environment. They can see all that from the perspective of the Git repository and also the other way around. They're also going to be able to integrate development processes and best practices that they're familiar with from Git directly into their Power Apps environments. So the ALM process is going to be much more robust with this native Git integration. And then for code in Power Apps Studio, you're going to be able to view the full YAML source code for a Power App, and you can copy and paste that over into whatever IDE you want. You can obviously commit that over to your source code repository, track all the changes, and it also works in reverse. You can copy and paste code snippets, paste them back in the Canvas App Studio editor, and have that particular component, or piece of code render into your application. So now you're going to be able to go from the WYSIWYG Canvas App Studio editor over to code, and from code back and forth completely seamlessly by supporting code in Power App Studio. So super exciting for those of us out there who are familiar with writing and doing code-based things. The last thing I want to call out was not necessarily an announcement at Build, but the product group and a lot of teams at Microsoft have been leaning in and have developed a well-architected framework. So this is guidance for, I think a lot of it's focused on Power Apps, but generally Power Platform broadly. It's a set of best practices and architecture guidance, and also some checklists and review tools to help organizations make better decisions and more informed decisions when it comes to the design and planning and implementation of workloads that they're deploying and building out on the Power Platform. So we have 5 pillars around reliability, security, operational excellence, performance efficiency, and user experience optimization. And there's obviously going to be trade-offs between these pillars, but I invite you to go check this out and start incorporating it into your Power Platform practice, because I think it's going to provide, or it is a great resource for organizations to level up. So wanted to make sure we shouted that out. All right, moving on to security announcements. These ones are a little bit lighter, but certainly very, very important when it comes to administration and governance. Again, just like with Power Apps, I will call out that we haven't branded it as a Copilot, but we have an advisor for admins in the admin center called Power Platform Advisor. So take a look at Power Platform Advisor. That gives admins recommendations for how to improve their security posture and review tools to help identify potential gaps as well. So 2 of the new announcements for that are centered around administration and security are that we now have 2 new pages in the admin center. We have a Copilot Hub page that helps admins manage Copilots that are being deployed, which generative AI features are turned on. There's a whole suite of capabilities around AI and Copilots that are all centered in this Copilot Hub page. And then we also have a security hub, so a one-stop shop for administrators to access the security posture for their tenant, identify areas where they can improve their posture. They're going to be able to set policies more proactively to reduce risk, and then also have scanning tools to detect threats. And then the two bullets under this point were announcements that actually dropped prior to build, but we have Azure Virtual Network support, which enables organizations to integrate Power Platform with resources inside their virtual networks without exposing them over the public internet. So especially for organizations that work in certain industries, I know financial services is one of them, where there's particularly stringent regulations, or just you have maybe your IT group has a very strict security posture. This is going to enable more Power Platform solutions to be deployed that meet those really strict criteria. We do have more details on the VNet support, so you should be able to click the link with the product group videos on the new security enhancements. So it's a YouTube video that walks through these two bullets around VNet support and Entra ID privileged identity management support. It's about 20 or 30 minutes long, so feel free to click on the link and bookmark that video, but please don't jump out of the session right now. And we are absolutely happy to follow up and do a deep dive with you if you'd like to get one-on-one with any of us. So privileged identity management, which I just mentioned, enables customers to grant administrative permissions to specific environments on the Power Platform on a temporary basis. So kind of just-in-time access that's not perpetual. So again, that's another feature that helps improve the security posture. And that rounds it out for the security and governance announcements. And for our last category of the day, we have Power Pages. So just like all of our other products within the Power Platform and our service pillars, we do have a Copilot for Power Pages. Copilot for Power Pages is generally available. So take advantage of it. We're always adding new features to it. Sometimes those feature additions aren't, it's just like, hey, we added a new skill to the Copilot, which is super helpful, but sometimes doesn't get trumpeted as much as something like an entirely new category of Power Automate flow, like AI flows is. So just a couple of things before we jump into the announcements. The product team at Build did drop some cool statistics in terms of the growth within the Power Pages product. So we're looking at across all Power Pages, 2.9 billion website requests that they're servicing per month on the platform, with a 99.9% request reliability SLA, or I guess that's not technically an SLA, but that's what their performance is. And then peak throughput and burst load and this is for any individual Power Page, can handle up to 17,000 requests per second for a peak throughput. So just some cool statistics that got dropped, really powerful stuff. So if you're looking at deploying solutions with Power Pages, just know that a lot of organizations are leveraging this at large scale, and the platform is ready for your use cases. So on to the Build 2024 announcements for Power Pages. Again, similar to Power Apps, I'll start with some of the Copilot enhancements, and then we'll cover off on some of the additional stuff as well. So Copilots in Power Pages are now able to create multi-step forms, which is pretty awesome. Power Pages has the ability to go from the WYSIWYG editor in the Power Page Design Studio and basically jump over to VS Code and look at the code side of it. So Copilot capabilities in VS Code can support explaining Power Page code. So again, super helpful as you're pulling on developers who like working in VS Code, who are comfortable working in code, just to get them up to speed on your Power Pages projects more quickly. And then also you can add copilots to your Power Page. So when you're deploying your Power Page, you can have a copilot deployed right on your Power Page for end users to take advantage of. They can ask questions around the content that's included within the Power Page. This last one is already GA, and Power Pages understanding, the second one, explaining code in VS Code, that one is in public preview. And we will have, as I'm calling out, whether they're GA or public preview, we do have a link at the end of the presentation for our release planner. And you can look up any of the announcements and features and see, what level of release is it in right now and what's sort of the timeline and roadmap for GA. So if you ever, forget, or as those dates maybe shift around and pull in or get pushed out, you can keep tabs on all of that. So outside of Copilot for Power Pages, they also added a bunch of security enhancements, including a new security workspace. So in the Design Studio for Power Pages, you have a new item in the left-hand nav specifically for security. And that provides additional valuable features to safeguard sites from potential data breaches, limit user access and permissions as necessary, and promote secure hosting practices. So developers and managers of Power Pages deployments will be able to proactively monitor sites and ideally identify vulnerabilities before they impact operations on the page. So the security workspace is a preview feature right now because this is hot off the press. Also, we're upgrading Power Pages with a configurable web application firewall. So this is one of the things additionally in the security workspace that Power Page admins, I guess, or people who are developing Power Pages will be able to configure. It includes IP and geo filtering to strengthen against cyber threats, and a number of other capabilities. There's a built-in Copilot experience that assists specifically with security-focused Q&A and also highlighting some security testing as well as summarizing scan results. And those scan results come from the third bullet here, which is a vulnerability scanning tool that we're also rolling out into Power Pages as well as part of that security workspace. For virtual table support, we've added a number of new providers. So we now have no-code connectivity to Salesforce and Oracle databases, as well as pulling in data from Fabric and Dynamics 365 Business Central into your Power Pages data layer so that can be surfaced for the end users. So that's pretty exciting too. I know that's going to, expand the number of use cases that Power Pages is able to handle. So super excited for that. Just to show off the security workspace a little bit, this is a screenshot of what it looks like. So you see that this is the security scan feature. So it lists out a number of things and basically highlights, items in the checklist, scan checklist that passed, items that failed, and also you can tree open the failed ones and it provides recommendations. You can see up here at the top, right here, it provides some recommendations on how to fix. So that's pretty great as well. And then Miscellaneous Power Pages enhancements, there were quite a few. PowerFX support in the Design Studio, just to level up the capabilities for designing enhanced Power Pages, better search efficiencies that are powered by generative AI, a new template for supplier self-service that is built to integrate with SAP, new UX components such as card galleries, breadcrumbs, and flex containers. I had some screenshots of these, but it's a little bit more interesting to actually get your hands on them and work with them. So feel free to go spin up a new Power Page and check those out. And then also the file size limit for uploading files on a Power Page has been increased to 10 gigabytes when you're using Azure Blob Storage to store those files. So you can now have your end users drop pretty significantly sized files onto your Power Page to facilitate your use cases. And that just about wraps up the Power Pages announcements. So hopefully you found, our recap of the new product features and announcements informative and helpful. I do want to just jump to some poll questions. If you're interested in learning more about how low code can help your business innovate and transform, we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to fill out the poll and we can follow up with you. There's also an option in here. So Power BI, we have experts at Microsoft that focus specifically on Power BI and Fabric, and there were a number of announcements dropped, particularly around Fabric at Build. So if you'd like to do a follow-up session and dive deeper into Fabric, we would love to connect you with those experts within Microsoft. So feel free to choose that option if that's of interest to you. And some of you may be already engaged with our team, so that's great too. Our next poll question is just to get sort of a pulse check on these announcements that we just walked through. So what was your favorite new announcement from Build 2024, or what are you most excited about? And this one's an open response, so you can kind of throw anything in there, or maybe it's just what area of the Power Platform you are most curious about, or are working on exploring and building your knowledge of right now. And I'll give this a couple seconds for people to put in their answers. And then our final poll question. So we'll be going on somewhat of an abbreviated summer break when it comes to the Master Series, but not to worry, it's not shutting down at all. When we come back, we're anticipating probably in August. If you have any feedback for us for how we can improve the Master Series, whether that's kind of ways we're delivering, topics we're covering, any sort of suggestions for how we can get better and deliver more informative, more valuable content for all of you, we would love to hear your suggestions and feedback. And our next slide is a slide with a bunch of links and resources. So I'm going to wait a beat or two. Also, feel free to give us any feedback directly in the chat, since the poll does kind of render on top of the screen and can obscure some of the content. We will take it from either channel. So these are some Power Platform resources that generally are pretty helpful. On the left-hand side, we have free learning paths and learning modules on our Microsoft Learn site. We have adoption guidance specifically for the Power Platform, a link to that well-architected framework for you to explore further. The second to last link under general resources is that product roadmap. So if you're curious around when features are going live, or maybe your organization waits until they're GA before any of the IT admins will turn it on for you, and you're curious, you're itching to get your hands on it, you can keep tabs on that with our product roadmap. And then also our YouTube channel, a lot of good content, good videos, stories of how other customers are leveraging the platform get posted to the YouTube channel. Charles Lamanna, who's our corporate vice president for business applications, so he oversees both Power Platform and our Dynamics 365 suite of business applications. That link is him on a podcast talking about AI's next big role, and especially around how low code can help facilitate organizations with their transformation journeys and facilitate innovation as well. And then on the right-hand side, we have our Build Book of News link up at the top. So that's all the announcements from Build 2024. If you want to dig into stuff for Visual Studio, from Azure, from Teams in the modern work side of the house, and Copilot for M365, you can get all the hot announcements there. And then also our product blog posts specific to Power Platform right below that. So these should all be clickable right on your screen today. And then, as Jeff said, we'll be sending out the recording and also these slides in the next day or two. So you should have this all in your inbox for reference, and you can share it around to anyone who maybe wasn't able to join today. With that, I will say a big thank you to everyone who was able to attend today. We will hang out for maybe a couple more minutes, answer any questions in the chat, but hope you all have a great day, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Yes, Seth. Do you have a question?
No, hit the raise by mistake.
All good.
I inevitably do that once a day.
Yeah.
Good
All right. Thank y'all.